what attracts you to using steel as a primary building material in your projects?
Steel attracted me because during the initial year of architectural education, we had visited quite a few buildings where steel was seen used, and especially when I entered into the construction or designing of industrial building, there was no other way but to revert to steel only. That has attracted me.
Can you share any specific examples of how you have used steel in your designs or projects?
I've used steel in many ways. As I just explained in my presentation, for complicated production houses, complicated production processes, similarly for large span structures, for tall structures, as well as unusual form of structures. In all these situations, we have used steel, and it has proved to be very versatile in that sense.
So, are there any architects or architectural projects that have inspired your interest in steel design? Can you share your thoughts?
Yeah, there are many. Actually, I was fortunate to have many international clients, and because of them, because of the engagement with them, we had to travel world over, and there are many, right from Eiffel Tower, I would say, it inspired a lot. There are many steel buildings. As we just learned in the today's presentation, we are too less per capita consumption of steel in overseas or in Europe or in America, even in China. We have seen many buildings in steel that have inspired me. I would also as I said, Eiffel Tower, even the Olympic structure in China inspired me a lot. We can do many things in steel.
So, in what ways does designing with steel impact construction timelines and costs as compared to other materials?
As compared to concrete, steel construction is far ahead in terms of time. Cost, yes, there is always, even I say, if you compare a column in concrete and compare a column in steel, steel will be costlier per se. But you have to be judicious to apply this material appropriately. If suppose I have to span a 50 meters wide building without columns in between, concrete is not a solution at all. It is steel only. So you cannot demerit the concrete or demerit the steel. Both of them are to be used appropriately as per the situation, as per the design requirement. That time the cost won't come into picture, because you cannot do in concrete, you have to do it in steel. Which you can do it in concrete, don't use steel there, because there it will be costly. But as far as timely construction is required, steel is definitely far better than concrete.
So, how do you stay updated on the latest developments and trends in steel-based architecture and design?
By reading magazines, by visiting places. I like to travel a lot, and I do travel a lot, and every time our eyes are very keen. Particularly, I am very interested in steel construction and bolted construction. I always inspire my team to say that design a building here in Pune is such that it can be done, it can be packed and shipped to Africa, and no question should arise about its any detailing part of it. It should be so thoroughly designed, because in steel, it like machines are mostly in steel. I have seen in my project a machine coming from overseas, all the way from Italy, and only 2 people erected a 70-meter long machine without any problem. That is the beauty of steel. It can be so precisely manufactured and constructed, and that has fascinated me a lot. Why can't we do it in buildings? That is what we should always aspire for.
So what challenges have you encountered when working with steel in your architectural projects, and how did you address them?
The biggest challenge or biggest this thing, challenge mean not very challenge, but our hot roll steel, which we were compelled to use in my earlier days of practice, always had a curvilinear web and flange connection, always has a curve, and that has compelled us to use very odd kind of connections. The arrival of parallel beams or the pre-engineered building, predominantly when they use plates of higher strength, that has resulted into a beautiful detailing of the building. And that earlier this was a big challenge, even now we have faced. I don't know, in Europe I saw many steel buildings, they were always in parallel sections. And why India doesn't have that, I don't know. There are very few companies who make parallels. This is the biggest constraint that I face.
How do you see the role of hollow sections?
It is very good. We have used it in Tetra Pak, we have used it in Mercedes. Hollow sections is definitely, there was a complaint from one of the structural engineers that there could be a challenge of moisture finding inside the hollow section. But I suppose that can be overcome with keeping some ventilation holes in that, and that's not very difficult. But in terms of sustainability, the hollow sections are very good. They use less steel and you can give as compared to the solid sections. So it's very good.
So what is your opinion on the future of steel in architecture, considering the emerging technologies and sustainability trends going on?
Steel is, to an extent, though steel is the biggest guzzler of energy of all the building materials, but we must give some credits to steel, because if you use it wisely, it can be recycled to many extent. In the manufacturing of steel, that is liquid metal, if you see, they have attained a lot of sustainability by converting the scrap and reusing it many times. Similarly, economizing on the amount of, by revising the steel making processes, they have reached to a point of conserving energy a lot. So that is up to manufacturing. Now the onus is on users who design the buildings, who design the infrastructure, or who use the infrastructure. They should consciously design these things in such a way that steel can be used sustainably. And what else did you ask?
Emerging technologies.
Technology is helping this steel very much, but there are proponents of many materials. I used to go to the training for Laurie Baker Home, and I learned there are people who will always do bamboo, anything bamboo, mud. They will eat mud, they will break fast mud, everything mud. Similar should not be in steel, I would say. Steel should be appropriately used in the situation. If you do, other day a client asked me, let us build school in steel. I said, why? You can build it in regular bricks and mud also, but what is your purpose? I want to bring it, now I have to bring it in 1 month. Then I said, okay, then you can build steel. It is only the time, but that's not the appropriate material where you don't require steel to build school. If you are in rural, you have land available, you are not going multi-storied, why use steel at all? Similarly, in the same way, steel, if used properly, we should very wisely use it. It has a tremendous potential.
So are there any specific projects or areas within the steel construction industry that you hope to explore in the future?
Actually, there are so many types of industries where already steel is being used. So I don't know where a specific There could be steel that is used for some process plants also, but I am not a process plant designer. I would like to see the hotels kind of a thing, or a mass housing kind of a thing, to be built in steel, packed into building, packed into trucks and erected on site. Like for cold storage, we need a very large cold storage infrastructure in India. If we can achieve that, or storage structures for food products, that should be like a PEB building. I would like to explore the possibility of making silos in steel, but not on site fabrication, packed as a PEB building. And that will be a very challenging and interesting field.
So, final question. What is your take on today's conference?
Yeah?
What is your take on the conference going on?
What is what?
What is your take on the conference?
I had a good networking. After a long time, I met many people which I used to meet earlier, and we are learning things. It is always better to attend such conference so that your vision enlarges. You can see what other people are doing, like what I see Christopher Benninger has done in steel, what Prashant has done in steel. Similarly, you can increase your horizon also, and you can innovate on that issues further. That's the big take.